Now, page 26 is about cost behavior. Now, today what we are going to go through is the costing part. All right. Now, what is the meaning of cost unit? Cost unit means the cost that we have to spend to produce 1 unit of output. And that 1 unit of output may consist of a product that you are producing, maybe a mouse, or maybe a thumb drive, or maybe a pen or pencil or book. Or it can also be in the form of a service, perhaps a dinner, okay, a dinner, or maybe a hotel accommodation, or even a patient in a hospital. Right? So that is the cost for 1 unit of product or 1 unit of service. Now there are 2 types of costs. The first type is what we call the direct cost. The second type is the indirect cost. There are 2 types of costs. Now what is the difference between these 2? Now let's look at the direct cost. Under the direct cost, there are 3 categories of costs: direct materials, direct labor, and direct expenses. And under the indirect cost, we also have indirect material, indirect labor, and indirect expenses. Now, what is the difference between these 2? Okay, let's look at this table as an example. Alright, let's look at this table. This table is a finished product, alright? The direct material to produce this table is actually the wood and the steel frame, the direct material. And you can see very clearly in the final product. But we also know that in order to produce this table, we need to use sandpaper. We also need to use diesel to run the machinery to cut the wood, okay, to cut the steel frame or to put it in the shape that we want to. So the sandpaper, the diesel that we use are not found in the final product, but we know they are used as part of the process. And those are what we call the indirect material. Besides this indirect material, they also need probably the paper to draw the plan to come out with the product as well. So the paper, the stationery are actually the indirect material in the production process, okay, which you cannot see in the final product. Now to make the table, we need to have carpenters do the job. Alright, the carpenters will cut the wood, frame, the steel frame, and to assemble it. Now, the carpenter's wages are what we call the direct labor. But the carpenters cannot work alone. They need the support from the store. They need the support from the technician, support from the administration to do the job as well. Without them, the carpenters will lay down their tools. So the admin, the store, the technician are what we call the indirect labor. Now how about the direct expenses? Now sometimes when we produce a product, maybe we have to pay royalty to the person who designed the product. For example, books. Okay? You have to pay royalty to the writers. Okay? So those are direct expenses. Okay? Now how about the indirect expenses? In the factory producing tables, chairs, furniture, we also have to pay for rental, you have to pay for insurance, you have to pay for the electricity, and all those are indirect expenses. Now what is the reason? Why do we need to know the difference between these 2? The main reason is because the cost behavior. The direct cost, usually behave in a variable manner. Variable manner means that if you produce more, if your output goes up, the total variable cost will also go up. The total direct cost will also go up. But for the indirect cost, when your production goes up or your output goes up, all right, your total indirect cost may be more or less the same. They may not change very much. For example, if let's say you run a shop selling cosmetic products, okay, and your sales goes up, the salary of your staff may be still the same. The salary of the rental of the lot may be still the same, not much changes. Okay? But your cost of sales will go up because the cost of cosmetic will go up. Because you have more sales. More sales means more cost of sales. Okay? But there are certain costs that will still remain the same. So the very important fact that we need to differentiate these two is because of the cost behavior. Because we need to know the cost behavior to control the cost.